Greetings, it's Dr. Wilson here. Happy Friday to you on Online Fridays, Friday session 2. What I'm going to do this time, I think, is break the videos into a couple of different pieces instead of one long one. So in this particular video, our focus actually in this class is editing images. Okay, so you should pick out some of your favorite pictures. You can see here I have a few that I'm going to work from that are wedding pictures. I'll share the love with y'all. And let's see if we can get started. So basically what we're going to do is make some changes to an image. So I want to, of course, first unlock the background, and so I'm going to name it. And actually, this is a funny little picture. I don't know that I can fix this, but my husband hates this picture because he thinks that the boy is staring at Emily's cleavage. Isn't that so funny? I thought it was kind of sweet, but I didn't notice that. But that's what a daddy notices. How about that? Okay, so what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to take this and duplicate the layer. And so it'll say copy on top. And that just leaves this bottom alone in case I want to use them both. I can do that. I can always turn the bottom off if I need to. I just hate to mess with, original pictures that I have. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and do just a few little changes on her. And so in my navigator window, see, it's at 12.5, so these are really high resolution pictures. I'm going to increase it a little bit so you can get in really close. So notice now I'm just at 24%, but I also can see better what I'm doing here as I begin to make a few changes. Notice she's got a little mole right here on her, and I'm going to delete my bottom layer or hide it right now. So we're going to use a couple of neat little things. So to get rid of this little blemish, I can come over to my toolbar, and right up here under the little half line below the dropper is the Band-Aid tool, Spot Healing. So I'm going to use the Spot Healing, and what you do is you click and drag kind of down over that, and actually it would help up here if I make my size just a little bit bigger. And so I'm going to do it again. And what it does is it kind of fills in colors around it so that now, do you see that little blemish doesn't show at all? And maybe what I want to do is get rid of some of this little lines here that show maybe a little extra fold. Let's see if that will do it. A little bit. So maybe I'll come back at it this other way. But you see that you can kind of do some spot healing there. If she has a blemish or something, you can use that to clean some of that up. And I find that that works really nicely. There's a little something right there. Then I find it always really helpful to, maybe everybody can afford to whiten their teeth, but in this case, we're not so good at that. So I'm going to go up a layer from my picture, and I'm going to take my polygonal lasso tool. And in fact, maybe what I should do is come over here on my navigator and get a little bit closer in so I can do a better job. There's her teeth. She's always had kind of yellow teeth. I don't know why. So on this new layer, I'm going to take my polygonal lasso tool and I just click, along, staying below her gum line. And then come on down. Takes me a few minutes, I apologize. Then, of course, what I want to do is color that. I'm going to go on into this white instead of the beige. and paint it. Whoops. Now there's a Seinfeld episode that has something to do with white teeth that like shine in the night. But remember, we can change the opacity of this layer. And so I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to lighten the opacity quite a bit so you can see her teeth. But they kind of get a little bit of a facelift there. And I don't want it to be too obnoxious. But if I look, now, you know, this is some pretty hard lines I can see here. But remember, I'm zoomed in quite a bit. So if I go back at this level, you really can't see those hard lines when it prints. But it does give her a little brighter look, right? So that's one thing you can do. You can modify that same experience. Again, I'm going to go to a new layer. And I'm going to zoom in again. And she has always had pretty severe bags under her eyes, no matter what we do. And so she's got some pretty heavy creases there. So I'm going to, again, take my polygonal lasso tool, and I'm going to go along the way here. Just on that big kind of bag. Now, what I want to do is I want to sample with my eyedropper tool a lighter skin tone kind of around her. Now, let me just show you. If we really zoom in a lot, look at all the different colored pixels in skin. So we know right away it's not going to look that realistic if I apply a flat color. And so that's going to be a little bit of a problem. But to sample the color, I'm going to go down to the actual photo. I'm going to sample a little color like maybe right in here. And then go and paint it. Whoops, I'm going to undo that real quick. Edit, undo. Because I don't want to paint it on my actual photo. I'm going to paint it a layer above. Because that then allows me to change the opacity. If I paint on the same layer, the opacity would be the whole picture, right? So we don't want to do that. So now I'll come in and lighten it up just a little bit so that it can look more natural. And maybe her crease can show a little less. And see, that's not real obvious, but that heavy crease is gone. So let me just show you the difference. Turn it off. There's her heavy crease. Turn it on. Just lightened it. So I think that is an enhancement that makes a difference for her. It's something her mother notices, that's for sure, because that doctor, I remember always saying, that means she has allergy eyes if she's got heavy creases. But anyway, okay, so now I'm going to go up. I'm going to stay on this same layer because it should have the same opacity. So I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to sample a little color, maybe right here. And I'm going to paint it. But now when I paint it, there it goes. And deselect, it's keeping that kind of same opacity. Now that one didn't look as good. So now what I may have to do is edit. I can't go back far enough. So I'm going to have to go into my history. I'm going to go back to here. Yeah. And I might as well go ahead and make a new layer and paint it in there so that now I can tweak that opacity the way I need to. And you know the light is hitting differently, so what works on one side may not be what works on the other side. You know, I don't mind there being a line there. That's kind of natural. I just don't want that heavy bag. So select, deselect. So again, I think that probably doesn't show too much. Here's her before. Here's her after. The last little thing, and you know, is this little whole area here. And I'm not sure what to do about that. I can do some spot healing and maybe reduce a little bit of that cleavage showing, which would I'm sure make her daddy happy. And I don't like this here showing, but that, look at all the different colors that would be involved. So perhaps what I might can do is take this and come in like this. Now, you know, I'm just doing this in front of y'all for the very first time. So now I'm going to sample dress color. And let's see what happens. I want to go, oh, I didn't sample dress color on the right layer. I need to go back to the layer, sample the dress color, right in the same area, because you know light changes everything. Add a new layer and paint this in. And let's select, deselect. Okay, so that is a little harsh, right? I mean, you can see it a little bit, these edges right in here where the colors really changed. Well, so now what I might choose to do is come over here and use a different tool. This is a blur tool. So on that layer, maybe what I want to do, and again, I may change this radius a little bit, make it a little bigger. And I can change the strength. Maybe I'll make it a little bit heavy. And I can come along this edge and hopefully it'll kind of blur the boundary a little bit. It softens the edge. And so I think that's working. Maybe I want to see it working. You know, and you could add a little shadow of something in here if you wanted to make that look a little bit more realistic. Maybe I can go in here now. What if I take this? Do you remember me talking about that I can merge down this layer? I'm going to merge this down. So now layer 4, my dress is all on the same one layer. So now maybe what I want to do is use the Band-Aid since they're on the same layer. And that kind of softens. So let me go back now to my navigation. Now I'm going to need to continue to work on this a little bit because I can see a line there. But I tell you what, I don't see her bra anymore, and that's kind of nice. So I'll continue to work on that a little bit. But you can see how you can play with some of these tools and enhance a picture, make it look better and brighter. So this is version 1, and these are some of the changes you can make to a photo. So play with these, have some fun, and make your pictures look better than ever before.